Coming up next, it's the iAnalyze Stocks Out Racing V8 SuperTrucks Championship right here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live and YouTube.
Fuel usage.
Averaging 0.10 gallons per lap.
Pit stop, add 5 gallons. Change right side only.
Hitbox in 10, 9, 8, 1. Bingo. 10-4, adding 5 gallons. Changing right side tires.
The village of Silverstone is home to one of the most storied circuits in the UK. And today, well, we're throwing a little NASCAR there. Hello everybody and welcome to RaceSpotTV's coverage of the iAnalyze Stocks Out Racing V8 SuperTrucks Championship. My name is Cisco Scaramouza, and alongside Jake Sperry and Paul Smith down in the production truck, we're here to bring you all the action from round number 4. And Jake, here we are, the track that if you've ever watched any F1 race at all, especially a whole season, you'll know Silverstone.
Yeah, Silverstone is one of the most iconic British tracks, if not the iconic British track in all of motorsports. Full of history, full of so many memorable moments. And it's one of those weird circuits, Cisco. It's one of the circuits which does the best amount of driving. It creates such great racing without the need to use elevation change.
Absolutely, the circuit built on an old RAF base back during World War II, and of course this circuit well known for hosting the British Grand Prix in Formula One. But today we're in the NASCAR Camping World trucks, and I don't think these trucks are normally used to driving on a circuit quite this flat or, well, quite as long as this circuit.
Yeah, it's going to be a real challenge for the drivers over 20 laps around here, Cisco, especially with the fact, looking at the Abbey chicane, it has thrown up a couple of interesting quality, shall we say, after practice sessions happened yesterday. I believe a couple of drivers got up on 2 wheels, which is not what anyone wanted, especially after Phillip Island and how everyone was jumping up on 2 wheels. And because of that, Cisco, it means that the championship looks incredibly, incredibly different.
Yeah, it absolutely does, and let's take a look at your points coming into today. The Drivers' Championship, Victor Lobato currently leads it. He's one of the road drivers in the Chevrolet. Bobby Zalenski sits second on the point standings with Ryan Castelline in third. All those guys fairly close in their points total, with Zalenski only 3 points off the lead.
Yeah, and that is everything that you need to know about this starting championship, is that even though you have drivers who are incredibly quick, sometimes even it comes down to who keeps the most penalty-free here, Cisco, mainly because I believe about half the field is starting towards the rear of the grid.
Absolutely. A bunch of the drivers, due to late confirmations or due to penalties, not going to be qualifying. We'll run through that during your starting grid, but we'll take a look at your team championship as well. Off-Camber Motorsports currently leads that. No penalty points. They lead 384 over Torque Freak Racing Corkscrew, one of the 2 teams out of that stable, and then JM Sim Racing Yellow, they're third on the team championship.
Yeah, and that's what you need to see here. Of course, the team's championship people sometimes don't pay as much attention to as others here, Cisco, but when it comes down to a team's championship, you know, there is pride at stake saying that you have the 2 best drivers in the field. I think quite a few teams are going to be looking at this series thinking, yeah, I want to prove myself. I reckon I could be better than what some others can do, and I think that there is a lot of pride at stake when it comes down to this, not just in the team's championship, but oval versus road.
Absolutely the case, Jake. And also your manufacturer standings, Chevrolet currently leads with 6 points over Toyota, and your road drivers lead the oval drivers 412 to 404. But we come into this race, Jake, and I mean, we talk about the race we had just 1 month ago at Phillip Island, and it was crazy. I mean, we saw some of the hardest racing we've seen out of this series. We're not terribly surprised by that. These guys don't know how to put on a good show on a track that isn't necessarily catered to these trucks.
No, it isn't, but one of the things that is aiding good racing here today is the fact that the circuit is quite wide here, Cisco, especially when you look at the Hangar Straight. I wouldn't be surprised here today to see trucks going about 4 wide here around this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, one of the things that helps promote that hard driving is the iAnalyze Racing Hard Charger Award, which iAnalyze gives out to the driver who's not on the podium, who has the most spots gained, or we feel is the hardest charging driver of the race. So of course you could tweet that out at Socks Out Racing on Twitter during the course of the race or after the race for your pick. You can do that at home, and of course we'll pick one on the broadcast as well. The winner of that gets a month subscription of iAnalyze Racing software, and well, the winner from one round ago, that was Sergio Real, Jake.
Yeah, and Sergio Real taking that victory 1 month ago. He will take that momentum here, and currently, as qualifying comes to a close, I believe he's done a really good job of things.
Yeah, he has done an absolutely great job of things here, but qualifying, like you said, beginning to wrap up. Sergio Real currently, by the way, he sits 3rd on that qualifying grid. But let's take a look at your full grid for the Socks Out Racing iAnalyze V8 SuperTrucks Championship. And Sven Kamertz, he got the pole with the time, 150.727. And then to his outside is going to be Borja Valero. He sits 2nd.
Sergio Real, as we are pointing to, leader of the championship in position at number 3. 4th position, though, surprisingly a second off the pace, Joe Sean Ibiza.
Justin Kruitoff right behind him as well. Bram Rainers, David Barraclough, Martin Kapal, Jake Robson, Daniel Thompson. That rounds out your top 10. Josh Mertz, the last qualifier to take a time, 157. He's going to start 11th. And then everyone else back here, Jake, they didn't get to qualify because they had a penalty.
No, and you look at the names who are not qualified, like Ade Koba, Mika Ethouse, Victor Lobato, Zelensky. I mean, you can talk about even the likes of George Gruber, Cameron Barry, Clifton Cockrell, and Thomas Corney here. You know, those 8 drivers, Cisco, some of them are absolutely world class. I wouldn't put it past Ade Koba to put in a stunning performance because he is the greatest all-rounder in sim racing today. It's like the same you can talk about Bobby Zelensky. He is arguably one of the greatest NASCAR drivers on iRacing today.
And I mean, when you talk about the fact the top 2 drivers in your points championship are starting from the rear of the grid here, I mean, that's such a... we weren't expecting that at all coming into this, but I mean, we had such an all-over-the-place race at Phillip Island. It's what happens. A lot of these penalties were either from late confirmation of the drivers confirming they were going to be in this race, or they were penalties held over from different rounds. Zelensky, for himself, he got himself penalized during round number 3 with that contact we saw during the lead, in the race for the lead, rather. That's where that penalty came from. So a lot of aggressive driving out of these guys, and well, it cost them. But Jake, we're getting ready to start the pace lap here. The rough 12-hour pace car waiting to make that move off the starting grid. We're going to take these guys for a lap around the Silverstone circuit. This is, of course, the old layout before the reconfiguration a couple years ago. So, well, we're starting from the start-finish line here, Jake. Let's take them around.
Yeah, we certainly will. And this run here in towards turn number 1, not always going to be overtaking opportunity, but this is a corner that separates the men from the boys. It's Copse Corner, and even though there's a bit of bailout on the left-hand side of the circuit here with the runoff area, the quickest way is not going to be running off over to the left-hand side. And then you see one of the highest average top speed, shall we say, on the calendar, very similar to the likes of, say, what Phillip Island was. The next section of corners, Maggots and Beckett's.
Maggots and Beckett's, some quick chicanes right there. You'll have Maggots. You're going to have this gentle turn to the left and then right immediately. This is when we start seeing the zebra curves and the zebra strips on the inside of the track here. We know what those have done to the trucks before at Phillip Island. Those, for example, a little bit flat, so we don't have to worry too much about trucks getting sideways. But now as we get to Beckett's, this is kind of this slow process of corners here, very different from a lot of the rest of the layout of this track. It's a very slow, fast, slow change of pace racetrack here at Silverstone.
It can be, especially as they come out of Chapel and onto the Hangar Straight. No DRS, of course, we're playing NASCAR here today. But these trucks will now look to try and use the tow down this straight to their advantage. It's one of the longest straights to be dealing with, and a good run out of a very difficult chicane section on the run down into Stowe Corner. That could be the difference between a first place and a fourth.
And I think normally if we were in Formula 1 cars or even Formula Renaults, that sign we just saw to the left might be indicating where your braking point is. I have to think with the brakes on these Camping World trucks, probably not going to be where that braking point is. These guys have to slow these trucks way down, over 3,400 pounds worth of steel and sheet metal on these things. Probably going to be a lot tougher to slow down as we head towards Vale and Club.
Yeah, Vale and Club are two very difficult corners. Of course, those of you who see the brand new layout, this is the final corner on that layout. Vale's a very difficult 90-degree left-hander, which soon closes down and opens up again into this long, looping 180 degrees right-hand carousel sort of action. Of course, you can run wide off the exit, but you don't want to be clipping the grass off of there. And this is where the old layout comes into play here, Cisco, because there's a fantastic Abbey chicane, which could be one of the key overtaking opportunities around the racing today.
Yeah, it's going to be this left-hander we're coming up to, and one thing I want to report from the driver's radios, Bobby Zelensky talking about how dirty the surface is here. A lot of stones off groove here, so that's something to look out for. These trucks probably not going to be single file for at least the first lap here, so those guys that head off into the dirt as we head into bridge here, a lot of the dirt on the outside of the line here, it's going to be hard for these guys to navigate that as we head into Priory.
It is Priory, a very difficult left-hander for those of you who were watching the iRacing Grand Prix series a couple of weeks ago. Kazuki and Mishima had a lot of issues with this. Brooklands a slow left-hander, and then what is going to be Luffield and Woodcote to start the racing action, Cisco.
Absolutely, in the iRacing.com rough 12 RT pace car going to make its right-hand turn onto pit road. The field will be in the hands of Sven Kamertz here, and welcome to the fourth round of the iAnalyze V8 SuperTrucks series right here on RaceSpotTV as we look for the green flag. There it is, trucks on the loud pedal. We're live from Silverstone.
Oh, and they get three wide in the middle. Everyone just trying to jostle around and get some positions here on the brakes into Cop Cisco. And already we got a truck going sideways here, and a good save then from that driver in about the middle of the pack. No, we're not. We're going to get a turnaround very early on, and that should be a big one. S-House involved in it, and the caution instantly out.
And not what these guys wanted to see at all. And it all started with the 208 of Bram Rainers. He was up on the outside going into Cops, and he got a punt from the 64 of Kapal. Was able to hold on to it, but bunched everyone up. They almost went four wide. The 237 went to avoid the 208 and got hit on the left side, and that's all she wrote for the 237. It was the 14 of Daniel Thompson that actually made that contact, and then the 28 came in and nearly blew over the 237.
Yeah, nearly blew over indeed, and well, a false start here means that we're going to go under caution just for a little bit, and of course, not many laps around here, Cisco, only 20, so cautions take up a lot of the action here today if they continue to be thrown like this. And for drivers like Bobby Zelensky and Mika S-House who needed to make their way through the field, this is not the way they would have wanted. In fact, S-House with a substantial amount of damage in the early goings. That is seriously going to be affecting his straight line speed and his cornering ability.
I will say, though, Zelensky did an excellent job of avoiding that wreck. If we can get a ride on board with him, he got a little bit, he had a little shenanigans happen with Mertz there before Mertz made contact with S-House here. And Zelensky, excellent job, got on the brakes, avoided that wreck, as we're seeing right here. Zelensky, just an excellent job done there, but it all played out in front of him.
And maybe that comes from the NASCAR experience here, Cisco, in the fact that when you are in close, tight pack racing, you sometimes do have to back off of things when you see a massive wreck in front, and someone's blown an engine here out on the circuit. It's the 27 machine that's done it, so that's Clifton Cockrell who's done that in a very weird position to make that happen. That's coming out to Priory there, Cisco, where he blew his engine, and that is a very lazy engine blow.
Yeah, and what's odd is he had some front-end damage, but I almost wonder if it was the gear shift down going into Luffield, perhaps, what caused that. I'm not really sure, or Brooklands, rather. Those are very odd point for that engine to blow because it was under pace laps. These trucks really shouldn't be under that much horsepower. Maybe just too much of a downshift for the 27, not really sure.
Well, he was trying to get himself down onto the brakes, and I think he maybe downshifted a little bit too quickly, Cisco. Clifton Cockrell's doing everything to try and get himself down onto lane. He's running at 15 kilometers an hour, desperate to try and find his box.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure he's going to get to the pit road commitment cones there, those yellow cones we see. It's probably for that HBM driver going to be all over pretty soon. Yeah, he's crawling there 6 miles an hour now, just crossing the cones. If he gets to his pit box, he's already going to be far too back from the rest of the field here. So that's probably game over for Cockrell there.
It is, and that is a real shame. Of course, no fast repairs here in this series, so it's not the case of get a tow, make a recovery, and get yourself back out. You've got to wait for the tow and hope that the damage is not terminal. A blown engine, you could argue, is pretty much terminal. And, well, you know, cautions can also mean that the hard charger award becomes a lot more difficult to win. But I will say in the early goings, Ade Koba's made 5 positions already. That's just a testament to how he knows how to thread his way through the traffic.
Absolutely, that driver knowing how to get through traffic. And of course, depending on who gets on the podium, make sure to vote for your pick for the Hard Charger Award. Tweet it at Sox Out Racing for your choice for that Hard Charger Award. But if Ade gets on the podium here, Jake, he's not going to be eligible for it because, well, he's on the podium.
Exactly. It's all about those drivers who don't get their spot in the sunlight in the top 3. It's about those who have to do that work and get themselves to a good position. Everyone knows that they can get on the podium, Cisco, but getting on the podium is one thing. Getting a Hard Charger Award is completely another here in this situation. And for those drivers who do need to get that Hard Charger Award or want that Hard Charger Award, they know that they've got to do all the work here in the next 18 laps.
Absolutely. The light's still on the pace car here. So we're going to be pacing around for another lap here. We'll keep coverage with you guys here, and actually we'll take a moment to talk about kind of the driver purses, the team championships. We talked about, Jake, you alluded to the fact that some of these guys, or maybe some of the audience members, you know, the team championship, oh, that doesn't mean a lot. It doesn't mean a lot. But for these guys, money on the line for both the teams and the drivers' championships.
Yeah, and when money's at stake, every single advantage and ability has to come into play. You talk about, say, a team that has, say, use a Formula 1 adage, Michael Schumacher in it, and then Rubens Barrichello. We all know that Rubens Barrichello isn't the quickest driver in the world, but he knew how to do a job. He knew how to just get the car into position number 3, position number 4, position number 5. Make sure you score all those points that add up for the team's championship whilst the other driver's winning. It's not about being the quickest guy on track sometimes. It's about being a team player, and that's so important.
And it's the top 10 drivers in the Drivers' Championship and the top 3 teams in the Teams' Championships getting payouts here. And that'll be not only a year of iAnalyze Racing software, but also some iRacing gift cards as well going out to the drivers in the field. But the lights are off here, so we have one more lap of 3.19 miles to go here, 17 turns at Silverstone. So these guys, what do you think's going through their minds right now, Jake, as we're getting ready to get set here? Do you think they're going to take it easy here on the start?
I think quite a few drivers are nervous. They've just seen how the racing stopped after just one corner, and the fact that it has the ability to stop after one corner means that everyone's going to be jostling for position and wanting to get all those moves done really, really quickly. I wouldn't put it past another caution flag period. Cautions breed cautions, as everybody knows the adage of right now. So in my opinion, I think that drivers towards the rear of the field are going to be a little bit more aggressive, shall we say, even than the early goings, but they should have the idea or the mentality to slow themselves down.
A little bit of a shot to Sergio Real, actually, under caution there from the driver behind him, Jorge Valero. And those two, while they're both JM Racing teammates, those two different teams, these guys forced to have only 2 drivers to a team. So you see JM Racing Yellow and JM Racing Black. Those are your 2 different teams, and that, of course, indicated by what color their numbers are on the roof and the sides of these trucks here.
Yeah, they are, and well, Jim as a whole collective has done a very good job, but their individual teams are certainly proving that they can do some wonders here, Cisco, in terms of this championship. So if they can get both of their teams inside of the top 3, a double payout for Jim would be very, very helpful for them.
Oh, absolutely, and of course, Sergio Real representing the yellow team with that border yellow on their numbers, and black the JM Racing Black team, that's, you can see Borja Valero in the red and black numbers. That's their colors for that team. But getting set as we come once again to the Abbey chicane here, and we'll go under bridge, and before too long we'll be back under green. But when we go back under green, we'll go for a little bit of RaceSpotTV fan immersion. But until then, Jake, what do you think's going to happen here? Do you think we're going to see K-Mertz try and pull out again here on the field?
I think he has the ability to. I don't think Real's the quickest. I actually expect Valero to bring himself back in, but I'd watch out for Ade Cobra in 7th, because he is showing that he has a great turn of pace.
Well, K-Mertz, the Belgian driver, gets set to bring this field back to green. And well, we're going to ride on board with the guy in 3rd place, and that's Valero. And we'll be able to ride on board with that Spanish driver. So let's go for a little bit of RaceSpotTV fan immersion here as we come out of left field. Racing already back underway, and we saw a huge wiggle out of Sergio Real, and he got all sorts of out of shape, and it looks like we actually lost Cameron Barry as well during that start there, and he actually made contact. That was towards the back of your field, and he made a little bit of contact with the field there. Jake spun that truck out, and it was contact with, now that I see the replay, that was Corny there, got into the back end of that driver, and the 323 way back of your field.
Yeah, and they were very lucky there that they didn't turn it around. Here as they all bunch up into Vale side by side. Capal and Lobato, then Lobato trying to get himself back through and will take the position away from the driver of Martin Capal. Capal going backwards with a big wiggle. Behind that, Bobby Zelensky trying to make the move on Bram Reniers. Reniers taking the defensive line, but Zelensky going to try and hold himself onto the brakes. He backs out of it though. Wasn't confident enough to make the move, so we'll wait just for the moment here. He's not confident enough to make something happen, but at the front of your field, what did I say? Borja Valero up into 2nd.
Yeah, absolutely. Those two drivers really working together side by side. Victor Lobato on the inside. He's going to go under Daniel Thompson in the 14, try and make that position as they go into the right-hander here. Are they going to finish it out? No, he isn't, because Daniel Thompson has that preferred line, so side by side between those guys, and in front of them, Ade Copa. He's currently on the move here. Copa trying to look and get into that 4th place position right now.
Yeah, he is. Daniel Thompson still side by side with Victor Lobato. Lobato stuck on the outside of Cops, but will take the position away and do what he needs to do. And now gets a great run on Joe Sean Ibiza, but he isn't going to be able to make that move. Ade Koba looking to put the pressure on Kruithoff here in through Maggots and Beckett. Needs a good run out of Chapel to make something happen here. And for Ade Koba, who is a very, very experienced driver, especially in an MX-5, he'll be using all of the basics to his understanding and advantage here. Tucked in right underneath, gets a good run and has the opportunity to make the move potentially down into Stowe.
I could see Koba trying to outbrake Thompson here. That's exactly what he's going to do. Dives to the inside, the 134. Excellent pass. Job done on Justin Kruithoff there. I don't think Kruithoff's going to have the traction to be able to do anything with the 134, so that's job done for Kruithoff. Meanwhile, as you alluded to, Valero passed his JM. Well, they're not teammates, but organizational teammate of Sergio Real, another gym driver. So Valero currently working his way to try and track down that Belgian driver in the lead. Sven K-Mertz still pulling a decent gap on the field here.
We've just seen a spinner as well in the 208 of Bram Reniers turned around down at Vale. He was there just trying to get himself on the corner, was stuck on the outside. A little bit of contact from Corny yet again. So Corny is 2 for 2 in contact here, Cisco. And, you know, they're still going at it here. The likes of Capal and Thompson. Thompson being shuffled back through the field.
And this isn't looking good for that driver of the 52. He's already made contact with 2 different drivers here, so the penalty report, we'll have to see what the stewards say after the race, but it's not looking good for the 52 right now as far as penalties go. 14, meanwhile, it's not over yet. Contact with Jake Robson in the 44. He's going to go by, but it got really physical right there between Thompson and him.
Push to pass if ever I saw one there, Cisco, and that was a very easy push to pass from Jake Robson. Rubbing's racing at times, but you've got to make it fair and hope that nobody gets turned around, and that was the case for Jake Robson. He moves himself up into position number 11 on circuit now, chasing down Martin Capel, but the gaps are opening up here, and that is going to be an issue for drivers looking to try and close those gaps. Borja Vieiro last time by was about a few hundredths of a second quicker than Kamets. Kamets is controlling the field right now.
Yeah, Cameron's doing an excellent job, and that battle between Robson and Thompson not quite over yet. Thompson got a decent run through Copse there, but he's actually going to lose out of Chapel and lose a ton of time. Meanwhile, side by side, Zelensky looking to make a move, seeing if he can get to the inside of Capal here. No, he's not. He's going to back out of it as they head into Stowe.
I think he might have a slowdown penalty from the Maggots and Beckett section there because he was going incredibly slow through Chapel and lost the position. So for him, Martin Capel says, thank you very much. I'll take free position right now. But a little bit of yellow helmet syndrome. You have a race winner in the NASCAR Peak Anti-Freeze series behind you. You do not want to take someone of that high quality out of the race.
Zelensky took a look to the left side of Capal there, wasn't able to make it happen, but that's going to be a battle here pretty soon. But closer battle right now is Lobato and Barraclough right now going at it. The 13 was all over the back bumper, the 555 as they head into Priory here. Lobato took a look to the inside, not going to happen there, but Barraclough going to apex way out to the outside. And now as they head now into Brooklands, I believe, yep. And into Luffield, I'm looking to see, no, Lobato not quite able to make a move there, but he's going to try and make something happen into Copse next lap.
Yeah, maybe, but Copse is a very difficult corner to make an overtake in. It's really a one-line suits-all, hold your nerve sort of corner. So for David Barraclough, he's going to be very, very comfortable just sitting there at the front, and he has draft in front of him of Kruithoff, who is going to be very, very influential on the run down the Hanger Straight for Lobato. I'm afraid to say this, but I think he's stuck.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we looked away from him for 1 second. Zelensky already passed Martin Capel back for that position, so Zelensky marching his way forward. Meanwhile, new fastest lap. Go figure, it's Ade Koba. He's got the new fastest lap in the 134, and he's looking to try and catch Sergio Real.
Yeah, he is here, and you can see they're all just trying to push in. A 51.6 meets a 51.8 for Sergio Real, so 0.2 of a second, all that needs to happen. Lobato unable to make the move, but we are getting close side by side. Capel's had an awful section, and now under threat from Jake Robson here in the 44, looking to try and get back up through the field. Both of them are -2 for the day at the moment here, Cisco. Well, actually, yeah, I am right. All three of them actually -2 for the day. That just proves to you that they all want a better run. Big drift, though, from the driver of Martin Capel. That's not doing the rears any good.
No, it isn't. And that allowed Robson to close right in on that driver of Martin Capel. Wasn't able to make anything happen. I have to think, though, as they head up towards Abbey here, Robson might be able to do something with him. No, Capel's going to drift it again. So Capel, his truck, not very happy at all. He's not going to have much left of the rear tires after this.
No, he isn't. Actually, Lobato down the inside of Barraclough at Priory Corner. Now looking at Brooklands on the brakes, last of the late breakers. And you can see that outside line will have the ability to transfer over to the inside line. A switchback, shall we say, as Barraclough is just trying to hold on to everything. Inside line for turn number 1 as well. Lobato will now have to switch back if he wants to make that move, Cisco.
Yeah, Lobato had a very excellent run, but lost out, was on the wrong side of the track, wasn't able to get the preferred lines. Meanwhile, Daniel Thompson, Robson, it looks like checked up a little bit. That allowed Thompson to actually get past Robson here. So now Thompson gonna try and go after Capel here. But for Martin Capel, I think he was holding up Robson. That allowed Thompson to be able to make that move.
Yeah, and well, holding up is going to be one thing, and getting by another driver is going to be certainly another one here. And for Jake Robson, you know, he doesn't want to be further back in the field. We know that his torque freak sort of allies, shall we say, are a little bit mixed, muddled up in terms of the racing, so that's not going to be helpful. Lobato again, though, side by side, he'll try and push it with Barraclough in the 555 machine, side by side into Stowe. But on the outside, it's a very difficult move to try and happen. Needs a great run off the second part of the corner here, Cisco, and he's going to get it. It now has the inside line for the Vale.
Yeah, absolutely. Torque Freak Racing Corkscrew versus Lobato in that JM truck, and they're going to come through right-hander. and no, Lobato's going to hold on to it. I don't know how he did. A little bit of gas there. It's not over yet, though. Barraclough going to try and get the undercut here. Stand towards Abby. No, Lobato won't let him.
No, he won't here, and not going to be able to break any later there. Lobato was sure of it there, that he was going to get that corner. All that battling, though. Oh, hello, Mr. 83. I'm Bobby Zelensky, and I'll try and make my way through as quickly as I can. Maybe he could do that a little bit quicker than Lobato did, because Lobato is struggling in the fact that they've all managed to catch up so quickly here. And that is going to be the big worry for all those drivers. Lobato was about a second and a half slower than Zelensky that last lap.
Yeah, Zelensky closing in on that driver, Barraclough, the UK driver, trying to hold off the end pass winner, and Zelensky through Woodcott. Now he's going to try and make something happen on the start-finish straight. Like you said, I don't think Copse is really the place for Zelensky to make these moves. I think Maggots and Beckett's probably going to be the best opportunity for the 83 to make the move on the 555.
Yeah, it is, and actually something else that needs to come into play is tyre degradation, because there will be one pit stop needing to be required, and next lap is halfway here, Cisco. So in terms of that one, there's a lot that can still happen in terms of this event, and drivers will be looking a little bit antsy at the moment as they look to try and work out who their rivals are. Lobato now on the back of Krutov, and Krutov now struggling here as he moves to the left-hand side of the circuit.
And the bad news for Krutov is if Lobato gets side by side with him, it's going to slow that group down, and it's going to allow Barraclough and Zelensky to close in. After that, it's just a case of who do they go with, and whoever they don't go with, it's just going to get freight trained on the outside. So it's going to be very careful here for Krutov to make sure he doesn't get freight trained too much by these guys as they head into Vale and into Club here. Krutov, long line of trucks right behind him.
Yeah, there are 3 trucks behind him, where you can see it was the driver, David Barraclough, who had a little wiggle coming out of Club. Zelensky now all over like a rash here as he tries to make the move. On the outside is difficult into Abbey, because he'll have to hold it around the outside. He's trying it, though, and he's trying to just get the inside. The nose is pinched, and he's unable to make that move. And now dropping time to Lobato here. Barraclough doesn't want to let anything go here as Lobato tries at the inside of Priory yet again.
Lobato kicks the truck a little bit sideways here as they head into Brooklands, and this is going to be really close. I think Lobato, if he can get the good line through left field here, he might be able to do something. Lobato trying to get the traction down. It's not going to work. Yes, it is. The 13, fantastic hairpin right there. Zelensky's going to head into the pits here, so the 83 kicks off the pit road cycle here for these guys.
Yeah, good decision from Zelensky. He was being held up, so he needed to come down onto the lane, get his pit stop sorted, and get himself back out again. Worth noting, Adekoba is dropping off of this group incredibly quickly here, Cisco. And the worry is going to be for Adekoba. If he can't keep up with the same pace as the leaders, he's going to be in a whole world of trouble. He's a second and a half back from Sergio Real. He's not getting any help from the toe, so that means that he will need to do his work on the stops. But if there's anyone who's good on the stops, it is Adekoba.
And we have to remember, Koba ran the fastest lap earlier in the race, so I wonder if he ran the tires off ever so slightly from this truck. I mean, we talked about one of the best all-purpose drivers in the sim, but nothing really prepares you for driving a Camping World truck on Silverstone. It's quite an experience, and I mean, now we have some more challenging racetracks coming up, stuff like Mount Panorama, but even at Silverstone, that flat racetrack, very little elevation change, it definitely takes a toll on these Goodyear Eagles.
It does, because you don't have any sort of help or hindrance, really. It's just one sort of line suits all, and you need to make sure you mold and adapt to this circuit. Barraclough still looking for the move on Krutov, is unable to make it happen into Abbey Corner here, Cisco. And I'm just wondering here, with Barraclough struggling a little bit, he just needs to find himself another way to make the moves happen. And for the moment, it just seems that he's a little bit too twitchy on the rear. Maybe he needs to shift that brake bias maybe to stop that from happening.
Not a bad change there to maybe help out that truck. That's really all you can do as we see JM, both teams coming in, yellow and black. Valero is leading him in, and Barraclough, meanwhile, side by side with Krutov here. Those trucks going to stay out here, and I'm wondering, Jake, have they stayed out too long at this point?
Depends on how the new tyres are going to play here, because there's about a second in it from what I can see. The fact that Amets is still out is going to do something, and down to the inside tries Barraclough, and in fact they are going to touch on the exit of Copse Corner. That was very, very lucky there, and you know what? He said he'd let the position back through because that was an unfair way to make that move, Cisco.
It was, but is he going to regret that if he can't get past Kruithoff here later in the run? Barraclough's been all over him, so I think the 555 will have something for that driver in front of him before the end of this thing, but we'll just have to see. Meanwhile, Sven Kamertz, we haven't talked about him a whole lot. Well, because he's just been pulling away from the field here. He had 2 JM trucks. Both teams were behind him, but for Kamertz, that Belgian driver, he's just been happy to sit out front all race.
Yeah, Sven Kamertz has done a very, very good job of just controlling the pace and keeping the gap at about 0.6 of a second. The issue now is, he has to come down onto pit road this time by Cisco because of the undercuts effect. Same for Adekoba Lopez. In fact, I'm very surprised that Adekoba hasn't come down onto pit road that last time by to try and get the jump on things, as we look at Bobby Zelensky then trying to make his way back through. He's got a certain little driver, Sergio Real, just in front of him, and that is for position because Zelensky came in early then on the run to the Vale. He's now in the leading fight.
Yeah, and his tires are warmed up. The 93 probably just getting the tires warmed up side. He was 2 wheels there, and that's something we're kind of used to seeing now in this series. That's what those sausage curbs can do to you. And excellent driving from Sergio Real to hold on to that truck. Bobby Zelensky had a show in front of him.
Yeah, he certainly did, and he hoped that it wasn't a motorbike and rather more a camping truck, and he holds on to position just for the time being as the racing continues here at the circuit of Silverstone. Leaders in Kamertz. He is followed by Koba Lopez. He is followed by Lobato. And Barraclough and Ibiza, they stay out here in this battle. Kruithoff has come down in, so has Kapal. Drivers deciding that they want to stay out a little bit longer here, really utilize this window here, Cisco, and really make the strategy happen.
I'm not sure if I'm on board with those guys. There's more trucks coming down pit road as Zelensky actually going to get by Real there, but I'm not sure I'm on board with the strategy from Ibiza and from Barraclough, because those guys almost have to bank on a caution at this point if they're going to stay in the race, because those tires, they have to be gone by now.
They have to, and well, in that case, he just needs to hope that something happens. In fact, to talk about the race lead, Borja Vieira has got the jump on Kamertz, and that was Kamertz going 1 lap later. Strategy has changed the game entirely here, Cisco, and that is exactly what was wanted.
And Ibiza all over the back end of Barraclough there. Barraclough able to get through and hold on to that top spot right now over Ibiza. That is technically your leaders right now because everyone else is pitted, so we'll have to see how it cycles. But Barraclough right now continuing to lead over Ibiza as they come around, as they head towards Abbey, rather. And once they do that, they have to pit this time, Jake. They have to.
They've got no other choice. The caution isn't coming, and the fact that the caution isn't coming means that they are in a bit of trouble. Maybe they might try the Tim Holgate strategy here, Cisco, from the Indy 500. Come in and pit when you have to, and then hope a caution happens on that pit road, and then that means a huge advantage when everyone else decides to come in.
That may be true, Jake, but this track very long, and they're going to lose a lot of time in Barraclough. I fear that the time they're going to make up on the fresh tires isn't going to be worth the time they're giving up here, because these Goodyear Eagles, unlike the Firestones that we saw in the 500, these goes away very quickly on these road courses. Barraclough in, Ibiza in, they have to be in this time, and they are. So those guys going to surrender the lead. Thompson also going to come in, so that's going to leave Jake Robson out there, the lone driver truck, still out in front.
Yeah, and if Jake Robson can get himself home to the end, he's only got about 7 laps to really make that happen. 8 laps, actually, as things stand. So, in terms of this one for Robson, if he can just try and hold himself out in front, he's only got to try and hold off and stay 10 seconds here. The issue that he's got, though, he is about 3.5 seconds a lap slower. I don't think he's going to do much, especially against an electric Borja Vieira, who just went purple.
Yeah, Valero, absolutely new fastest lap right there. So the 39 for the Jim Racing Black team, trying to pull out that gap on Sven Kamertz, the Black Adder driver. And for Valero here, this is opportunity that he got. He didn't have to race Kamertz for this position. He got it off pit road, so he didn't have to use up those Eagles at all. Doing a great job in the lead right now. But another thing to take note of, the other Jim driver, Sergio Real, he's fallen back now all the way to what will be 5th. And Bobby Zelensky to what will be 4th here, assuming, of course, Robson can't make it to the end. We're still not sure, though.
We are still not sure, but Bobby Zelensky is actually hitting even quicker lap times, a 150.6 from him that last time by. What a fantastic lap that was from him. That's the fastest lap of the race by none. That was a full 0.4 of a second quicker than Borja Vieira, and yeah, can't blame him because he's 5 seconds back and needs to catch up as quickly as possible, but he's not going to catch this group in time at that sort of pace here, Cisco. So in terms of that one, it's going to be heartbreak for the driver of Bobby Zelensky. He can only hope that he can just stop the tide of points here, as he has by taking over from Real.
I think Zelensky's best strategy here is to hope that the 39, the 66 go side by side. They fight for that position, maybe hold up Adekoba. That might be Zelensky's chance to go after the lead here. But Robson is going to be in here this time. So now we look at your leaders. Borja Valero, he is first. Sven Kamertz, he runs second. Adekoba is third. Bobby Zelensky's fourth. And Zelensky in position right now for the Hard Charger Award. He's not on that podium right now and done an excellent job through this whole race.
He certainly has. We did see a spinner, though, in the form of Thomas Corony, the 52. Just can't seem to stay out of the wall, Cisco, but it kept everything golden, and it makes sure that it kept everything safe. Adekoba, fastest lap of 150.599. That was a full second quicker than your race leader. He brings that gap down to just 1.2 seconds between the leading three. This race is not over. If Adekoba can make a move here on the likes of Kametz and Vieiro, he will be in a position to take a maiden victory.
But Koba has to pass 2 trucks to do it, and at Silverstone, we've seen that's a tall order for Koba, but if anyone's going to do it, it could be him to make that happen. But still, Valero continues to lead right now, and Kamert's looking for that opportunity. The Belgian driver looking to see when he can get the undercut on that race leader in the JM Racing black truck. Borja Valero trying to do everything he can to hold on to that lead.
Certainly is, and we've got a great battle further down as well here, Cisco. David Barriclough has Joshua Nabitha and Martin Kapal all there in the train, and of course there is Kruithoff there at the front of that train in the number 46 machine there. Justin Kruithoff certainly doing a very good job of things right now just to try and hold that gap, but at the front of the field, I have a feeling that Kametz is waiting for the final lap for something to happen here. Of course, the caution period, it may happen at any given moment, and it's up to everyone else to work out whether a caution period can happen if there is any incident. Look how close Kametz is.
Yeah, and I have to think, Jake, if you wait until the last lap, yeah, it's 3.19 miles. This is a very long circuit, but forcing yourself into that box, I'm not sure that's a good strategy. Forcing yourself to make that move on the final lap. So much can go wrong in one lap, Jake, and you're not giving yourself a whole lot of time. You're only giving yourself about 2 minutes to make a pass for the lead. If you're Sven Kamertz, I know you have a fast truck. Why not just make the move now and then go on the defensive? You're always going to be better on the defensive than you are on the offense.
Well, this is the question that you have to make. If you're on the defense on the final lap, there might be an area of circuit where you know that if someone pulls alongside you, you're not going to get there. It's a huge wiggle from Kametz coming out of Chapel Corner. Just gets away with one there. And the car, or the truck even, shall I say, just slivers away. Just enough for Kametz to hold on. Adekoba now right tucked in the popcorn seat, trying to make something happen. But my point being, if you are at the front of the field, you know that you have to defend every position. You know that you have to defend every move. You are rear mirror driving, and that's the last thing you want to be doing because that does lead to mistakes.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Jake. I guess we'll have to come down to what's going through the mind of the Belgian driver to see when he makes that move. And actually, I'm starting to wonder, at Adekoba, I wonder if the Spanish driver might be in the better position right now.
Maybe he is. It depends about how quickly he can round Kametz here. Kametz, of course, was the driver who started on pole position. From 12th position on the grid up to 3rd was Adekoba. That's how much he has been charging in these 20 laps. He made 5 positions in 1 corner before the first caution, and only caution so far came out. A lot of black tar is on the road then for Adekoba, who is really using all of the car and all of the truck even, and then a little bit more here because Adekoba is sliding that vehicle around, and that will destroy the tires.
Yeah, it will, but I do want to jump back to that battle with David Barriclough. Just got very sideways in the battle with the Jim Racing yellow truck of Hosseini Bitha, and then in front of him, Kruithoff continuing to hold that truck at bay, and Barriclough is getting more and more sideways as this run goes on, trying to do everything he can to get past that driver.
Yeah, I think he's thinking of the mentality of 89 degrees right is the quickest way, or 89 degrees left is the quickest way around the corner. And in fact, It isn't here as he looks again to the inside of Kops. Isn't going to be close enough. Will lose out on the exit as well. Will Barraclough on the driver of Kruthoff. And Kruthoff's just placing the car in the middle of the circuit, being a nuisance for Barraclough. Not really looking to push forward here because they're already 20 seconds off of the race leader.
Yeah, they are, but the Louisiana driver, Justin Kruthoff, doing an excellent job holding the UK driver of Barraclough at bay and actually opening up a little bit of a gap as they head onto the hangar straight here. Meanwhile, flashback up to your leaders, and it's Sven Kamertz now looking a little bit like the 555 because he's starting to slide that truck a lot right now. That's almost too much now at this point because Borja Valero is starting to pull away.
He is, and that gap over a second now. Adekoba's got to make a move. He thought about switching to the inside, didn't have enough room to make that happen, so was stuck on the outside trying to make a move. That's never going to happen at Abbey, especially in this truck, so that means that Adekoba is going to have to stay behind one more lap, and we all know here, Cisco, one more lap could be the bane of everyone's existence.
Absolutely, and the longer those guys go side by side, the better it's going to be for Bobby Zelensky's chances to get into this battle here. So these guys, Adekoba knows he needs to make this pass happen soon, and I'm wondering if you're Sven Kamertz, almost is it worth it to delay Koba just so that Koba has to deal with Zelensky, but at that point, you might be in trouble as well.
Yeah, you might have to give up on the race victory. Look at this battle, though. Down for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Down to the inside. Joe Shaw and Ibiza under a little bit of pressure because Kapal has just slid one down the inside. Now stuck on that long 180-degree outside of the corner. And for all that effort and for all that momentum, it might not work because the inside is Ibiza's going towards Kops.
Yeah, and Kapal, the Czech driver, trying on the outside. He's going to go way off there. You can't make that work. And well, he held on to it. I'm not sure how. It was in the grass a la Mosport last year in the Camping World Truck Series, but Kapal back on the power early, and he's right on the back bumper of Ibiza, the Spanish driver. Going to go to the outside. Nope, he's going to back out of it here. So the Czech driver, Martin Kapal, going to lose out that position now to the driver in front of him.
Oh, and a big wiggle then from the driver of Kapal as well. That's going to say end of the battle. Barraclough is not done, though, with Kruthoff as he's right in underneath then. And you can see already early to the left-hand side, trying to break the draft early is Kruthoff. And Kruthoff holds off of things here for Barraclough, unable to really close in, but on the brakes he gets there, but not quite thereabouts. And very tentative from Barraclough there on the brakes. Not much that could have been done there to really make a move happen, but is just starting to look a little bit sheepish on the brakes as again runs in deep.
And you have to think if you're Barraclough, maybe not an opportunity to win, but if you can finish decently well at your home track, you definitely want to do as well here as you can. And he's doing everything he can. He's getting all the usage out of this Goodyear Eagles that he can, but it's just not working for the 555. He's going to have to make that move eventually, though, with the Louisiana driver in front of him is just going to pull away.
Yeah, he is, and that is not going to be the key here. But looking further forward at the front of the field, though, I am surprised that Borja Vieira hasn't pulled away as much as maybe some would have expected here. Kametz is not out of this fight, but is a little bit out of range. In fact, pulled in a 10th on that last lap. So for the driver of Kametz, it is not over and done with. Borja Vieira still has to drive perfectly and actually runs a little bit wide coming off of the exit. Had to really shut down on the brakes and stop getting instant points. Adekoba now on the back. Bobby Zelensky, he is only 1.1 seconds off the back of this group, was 0.6 of a second faster that last time by, and that just proves to you he knows how to save the tires.
Absolutely, Jake, and I have to think Koba, he started 12th, and he's made his way to 3rd. I'm wondering if he put too much work into trying to get to the front here. I'm wondering if he burned himself out and maybe doesn't have enough left in that truck to be able to do anything with the leaders, because he's been able to somewhat close in on Sven Kamertz, but he hasn't been able to make a move yet.
Well, I'll tell you something very interesting. Borja Vieira is on 1 lap older tyres than Kametz and Adekoba, but Bobby Zelensky is on 2 lap older tyres compared to the pair of them and running faster than the lot. So Bobby Zelensky is doing something absolutely sensational, but look at how that gap has been closed in on this lap. Borja Vieira, that 1.2 seconds, now looking more like half a second here in the space of half a lap.
And I have to wonder, the teammates maybe come into play. Josh Mertz, the lap down truck, a little bit up the ways, just a little bit, from his teammates, Sven Kamertz, both Blackadder Motorsports drivers. Do you think maybe some team play might come into play? Maybe Mertz trying to help out his teammate, maybe stays in one lane, maybe not the preferred lane, and allows Kamertz maybe to make that move on the race leader?
I don't think people would like to see that, but I think it has the potential to happen. I don't think that the reputation of Blackadder Motorsports would be to pull off a stunt like that, but you never know. Kamets wants a victory here. You look at Adekoba all tucked in there behind in third position, and you look at Bobby Zelensky there on the rear of that as well. All these drivers are split by 1.4 seconds over the line with 2 laps to go. This is fantastic stuff.
Yeah, and Zelensky the fastest out of those 4. Valero the slowest out of those 4. So that means this group is just going to accordion together here. And by the way, Mertz 157 versus Valero's 153. So they are going to catch that 28 truck before the end of this thing. We'll have to see what kind of a role he's going to play. And for Sven Kamertz, he's still getting loose. He's going after Valero, everything he has out of that 66.
Yeah, maybe there's a bit of aero push coming into play. Every time he gets close to the aero, he gets a little bit twitchy and tentative on the brakes into Stowe, right-hander at just 130 kilometers an hour before getting back up onto the power once again. The aero just holding station, did it all on the strategy call, and well, now the traffic's certainly going to be a lot more visible and a lot more dangerous for certain drivers here. The aero has Kamets behind Koba and Zelensky. Zelensky sitting possum at the back with a lap and a bit to go. You have to feel you've got to start moving now and making moves, otherwise this race is going to be all over for you.
I'll tell you what, if Valero and Kamertz, if they get side by side for more than a lap here, Jake, Zelensky and Koba could have a chance. But the problem is, Zelensky wants to get past Koba. If those two spend too much time battling, it could be over. But Zelensky to look to the inside. Mertz has no play whatsoever in the battle with the leaders. He gets way out of the way here. No teammate shenanigans. This time Mertz gets to the side and knows his role there, gets out of the way there. Great job. Great team driving by Mertz there. He wants the leaders to have the fight amongst themselves.
Yes, he does there, and he knew his role very, very importantly. And well, it's now a case of who wants to be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Borja Villero holds the advantage then and held it exactly the same as last lap. So for the driver of Sven Kames, he needs to get close through this section, and this is the section which Borja Villero has been doing the best out of all 4 of these drivers at the moment. Brakes, Maggots, Beckett, Chapel coming up as well for Borja Villero. It seems that it's going to be all too easy at the moment here. There's not much going on from Kamertz, and now Adekoba trying to get into the play.
Kamertz got to make sure he's got to run the defense and the offense, and I wonder if for Kamertz, he might have boiled those Goodyear Eagles too much already as they head up towards the right-hander here. Koba going to look to the inside. Will he have a run? No, he will not. He's going to drop in behind the 66, and Valero, I think you're right. This is almost too easy right now.
Yeah, I think it is. He's just too far away here for Kamertz to do something. He's very deep on the brakes, though, is the Belgian, and he knows that he's close, but it's just that one fingertip away. That single count to get himself to lap 20. It's not going to be enough. I think, though, there's a great battle for fifth as well as Lobato tries to challenge Real as well. That's crucial for the championship, but for Zelensky, he isn't going to be able to make that move. He isn't close enough, and he hasn't got the ability to do it. Needs to make a last lunge here into the complex.
Koba got a beast of the curb when they went through the Abbey chicane. Is Zelensky going to have something for 30? Certainly going to try. Way to the bottom. Gets out of it the last minute. Dirt flying out from Zelensky. Not able to make it. Will he make it? It's the left-hander. Meanwhile, for Valero, it's easy. Job done. I don't think Kamertz is going to do anything. Meanwhile, behind him, Zelensky gets all out of shape. Last-ditch effort for Zelensky. The 83, not going to happen. And for Borja Valero, he's going to win it here at Silverstone. He's going to bring home the champion, or the race win for round number 4, and ditches it in the grass. He's happy.
Yeah, he has to be. That's a fantastic result. Real held off Victor Lobato. Very crucial for the championship battle as well. Look at this battle. 5 trucks even all together, and they come together on the final lap there, as that was Barclow then getting all shapes wrong with the likes of Joshua Ibiza. They're still making contact. Kruythoff there as well. And, well, it's all ended in a little bit of a hot pot there.
And Martin Kapal just got 2 trucks in one corner, and Daniel Thompson also going to get that. And, well, I think we just saw a little bit of anger maybe out of the 44, but either way, not happy at all. Actually, it was someone plowed into the inside wall. It was Barclow there, not happy. The driver from the 555, and Kruythoff also not happy either. And for Martin Kapal, that was the easiest pass he made all day.
It was here, and, well, that battle all happened coming through Priory, because it was between Kruithoff there and the driver Barclay. Barclay went so deep into that third to last corner, and then they all just stacked up against each other. And then you saw Barclay try the impossible move, shall we say, to try and find the gap where there was no gap before, and in the end it all ended up a little bit higgledy-piggledy, shall we say.
Okay then, sure we'll use that, but either way, let's run you through our full race results. Borja Valero, he's gonna bring home the victory here. Sven Kamertz, he's gonna finish second. Third's gonna go to Ade Koba. Bobby Zelensky, well, he's my choice for the Hard Charger Award today because he ran from 15th, he finishes 4th. And rounding out your top 5 is Sergio Real in that 5th position.
6th position then goes to Victor Lobato. My pick then for the Hard Charger of the Day award. Did a very good job of things there, with Martin Kapal 7th, just holding off David Barclay on the drive to the line. Daniel Thompson finishes 9th, and Justin Kruithoff is shuffled down to 10th on the final lap.
Hossein Ibiza also didn't get the run he wanted. He finishes 11th. 12th is going to go to Jake Robson. George Gruber 13th. 14th going to go to Bram Rainiers. Cameron Barry is going to finish 15th. 16th will go to Josh Mertz. Mika Eshouse out early 17th. Thomas Corney, he's 6 laps down in 18th. And Clifton Cockrell, blown motor, finishes 19th. But before we step aside for the commercials, we do want to remind you to tweet at Sox Out Racing on Twitter for your vote for the iAnalyze Hard Charger Award for this racing. Of course, we want to remind you that iAnalyze Racing is the official data analysis software of the V8 SuperTrucks series and the premier iRacing aftermarket add-on. And you can pick up some of their software today by going to www.ianalyzeracing.com. And well, let's have a word from iAnalyze Racing.
Fuel usage.
Averaging 0.10 gallons per lap.
Pit stop, add 5 gallons. Change right side only.
Hitbox in 10, 9, 8, 1. Bingo. 10-4, adding 5 gallons. Changing right side tires.
Welcome back to Silverstone, England, here for the iAnalyze Sox Out Racing V8 SuperTruck Championship here on RaceSpotTV. Cisco Scaramuza, Jake Sperry had to run off. He had 2K World Cup. So now we're actually going to head down and, well, we're going to try and talk to a couple drivers. We'll see if we can talk to our winner here in a little bit. But right now, I guess we'll talk to the 4th place driver of Bobby Zelensky. And Bobby, you had to climb your way up from not being able to qualify today. You finished 4th, started 15th. Talk us through it. How was it out there?
Well, this third race we had to come from the back, and this was definitely the hardest track to pass on. I short pit there on lap 9 just because, I mean, I knew I had the speed to hold everybody off, so I just short pit if they, in case they got back to me. And I gained a bunch of positions from that. I gained like 5 positions, so that worked out really well. I just really didn't have the time. It was a pretty quick race. We didn't really gain much positions off of that first crash. We almost got in it. So it was really a hectic race, but it was a lot of fun. I just wish I had a little bit more time, but I don't know. It's really tough to pass here.
We saw you come over the radio during the pace lap talking about how dirty offline was on the track. We saw some of that kind of during the race, especially kind of your final move. You got caught in a bunch of the marbles there going into some of the last chicanes. What was the track out there like? Because we saw a lot of marbles, pebbles hopping off from the gravel and getting on the racing surface today.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully I was able to kind of stay in the racing line and not make many mistakes and get out there. He definitely didn't want to get out in that stuff. And yeah, at the end there, I was just trying some crazy, maybe it'll work moves on the day. Because I didn't really, just trying stuff. We were all in a line there. And yeah, it didn't work, but, it is what it is. And we had fun. Track was a little cold for my liking. I was hoping we'd get like something dumb like 90 clear, but we got we got about 95 or whatever track temp. But it was fun.
Well, as I'm looking at my notes right here, you may unofficially take the points lead. Yes, you will actually. Unofficially, unless obviously we'll have to see if any penalties come down. But as of right now, I believe you're going to take the points lead away from Victor Lobato going into next month. How does that change your mindset as the race goes on?
Well, going into this race, since he had to start at the back as well, I knew like my sole job was just to beat him, because he's my championship contender. I know like a day joined late, so he's not going to be able to be in the race just out if he's not going to be able to get enough points. So I knew I was pretty much just focused on beating Victor, and which kind of went into that short pitting there. And I was also, a big goal was not accidentally hit anybody, because that's been an issue of mine. I keep getting in these incidents and keep having to start in the back. So for a second race in a row, we had to start in the rear and try to get back up there. And so that was my mindset, really. Just keep it really clean. Don't be over aggressive, and just beat Victor. And then next race we can qualify again and start up front and not have to worry about getting a lucky caution or something.
Well, you finished 4th. You are eligible for the Hard Charger Award, but sponsors, shout-outs. Who gets it done for you in the 83 team?
Yeah, shout out to everyone at SOR for putting on this series. It's a lot of fun. Always wanted to do a NASCAR vehicle on road series, and I'm glad there is one. And it's really competitive. We got guys like A Day in here, and Busa hasn't been in here lately. We got Mika, we got Victor, Valero. We got a lot of fast guys, so it's always fun to race every month here. And be looking forward to the next one in 5 weeks at Spa. That should be a lot of fun. Shout out to everyone at Slippinga Motorsports as my oval team, and we race this Tuesday at Charlotte. I don't know how we'll do. I hate that track. I'd rather do road every week, but hey. Shout out to my sponsors, Western Industries, New Age Metal Finishing, Virtual Racing School, and Elwood Designs for all the help they give.
Well, that's Bobby Zelensky. He finishes a solid 4th, and Bobby, we'll see you on Tuesday, man.
Sure thing. Thank you.
That's Bobby Zelensky, finishes 4th, and now finally caught up in victory lane here. Mr. Valero, welcome to victory lane. Congratulations on the win here at Silverstone.
Thank you. First of all, I have to say sorry for my English. I'm tired.
Well, there you have it. He's tired, but he's happy. Borja Valero, felicitaciones y adiós.
Muchas gracias.
That's our winner, Borja Valero. Quick and easy. But Sven Kamertz came home second. We saw him fighting away at the lead. And Sven, excellent battle. What was it like out there for you?
It was good fun. It was definitely a great race from my view. I was constantly trying to drive away or trying to catch up. So I definitely had good fun tonight.
We saw the battle kind of get decided on pit road. You came down first. You lost a little bit of time on pit road, and you came out second. Was that ultimately the deciding factor in your race? Do you think if you had some extra time, you could have gotten by him?
Overtaking was very difficult, so I had a few minor runs, but it never really worked out for myself. But yeah, on the pit lane, indeed, I lost it there. But it was either going to be one way or the other. And I thought with 3 caution laps, I could extend the pit stop by 1 lap. But yeah, it didn't really work out for myself.
Still a great run for you in the Blackadder Motorsports camp, but sponsors, shout-outs. Who gets it done for you in the 66 team?
There will be, of course, all our main sponsor, GP Racing, Cherson Solution, and Emergy. And we also want to give a shout out to Josh. He was driving in today, but he got very unfortunate in the first caution. That's one of the things that should be worked out, at least the initial cautions. Because for the rest, it was a good race with just that initial caution that just upset it all a little bit.
Well, that's Sven Kamertz, the Belgian driver, finishes second here at Silverstone. Sven, we'll see you at Spa. So, well, Jake's not here to wrap up everything, but you can go catch 2K coming up next on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. And, of course, tonight we also have the Dylan Brockwell Memorial and the World of Outlaws Craftsman Late Model Series. You can catch all of that and more races up on the schedule there at iracing.com/live. But to stay up to date with RaceSpotTV and, of course, the Socks Out Racing iAnalyze V8 SuperTrucks Championship, of course, we want to thank Steve Burbage, Nash Hendry, and Christian Challoner. And, of course, follow them on Facebook, facebook.com/SocksOutRacing, Twitter @SocksOutRacing. Of course, you can visit their website, www.socksoutracing.com, to find out more about this series. And, of course, you can stay up to date with us on RaceSpotTV, facebook.com/RaceSpotTV, Twitter @RaceSpotTV. You can follow myself at V3RT627, at Jake at Jake_Sperry, and Paul Smith at SmilerBull. But for all the crew here from RaceSpotTV, Paul Smith, Jake Sperry, I am Cisco Scaramuza, and, well, we'll see you in June at Spa. But until then, keep it safe out there, and thank you for watching.
Fuel usage.
Averaging 0.10 gallons per lap.
Pit stop, add 5 gallons. Change right side only.
Hitbox in 10, 9, 8, 1. Bingo. 10-4, adding 5 gallons. Changing right side tires.